Morning everyone, how are we? It's Friday, we've got our first little puppy in. A little Kia Picanto. Story behind this one. Son's car. Dad's had a go at fitting the radio. The original radio stopped working. They bought another one. This one doesn't work either. So, giving up the ghost. Brought it to me, so I got to figure out what's going on, why it's not working, get that one working, and we're also fitting in a Kenwood dash cam, one of these. He's a new driver, so it's worth being protected on the road. So we're going to get this one done. Let's see what we find. Let's grab some tools. We're going to go for the basics first. So, first things first. Radio only needs three things to turn on: live, earth, and ignition. So straight off the bat I can see an issue. Cheap ass cable.
What the heck is that?
I'm just joking. Let's get decent earth and let's have a look what we've got. So we got 12.7 on the permanent feed, nothing on the ignition, key on, so there's no power to the ignition. We have illumination. What we got there, so non-standard colours on this ISO. So the thing that is missing on this installation is the ignition feed. The ignition feed is not present. So before we go digging deeper, we'll first touch bases on the basics. Is the plug still there? Has that lead pin bent over? And the answer is no, it hasn't. So 12. No ignition while the engine is running. Make sure the cigarette lighter works. Let's pop that down, because it's probably going to be something stupid like a fuse. Check we've not got power speeding out any of these other cables. No, we're all good. On the cheaper brands, cheaper cars, you tend to find this accessory feed will run other things. So you look for things that aren't working in the vehicle as well. Like sometimes it can be interior lights, sometimes it can be accessories for cigarette lighters and things like that. The cigarette lighter's cold. There's no heat there. Yeah. So that would suggest to me that we have a fuse blown. So let's go down to the fuse, pull the fuses, which is down there, and start looking in that area. I don't have a pin-out diagram for this car. Not really interested in that, but we have got one on here. So cigarette lighter 15 amp, that's obviously not working. What else have we got? Ignition, there we go. Cluster, airbag, coil, sensor, illumination, injection, diode, right. So we're going to go for the obvious first, so cigarette lighter, and we'll also check the ignition. So 15, 10 and 10. Let's have a little nose. So they're the diodes. That's our first one. Get that in there. pull him out. That's a really annoying tray. Right. So cigarette lighter fuse is blown. So that's our first one we've got to change. And then the next one is the 10 in the middle offside, that one there, which will be our ignition output. So the 10 is actually okay. So we'll change this 15 first. Right, so let's put that in there. So we now got the cigarette lighter working. Let's turn the ignition back on. Get our radio plug. Oh no, look. Off, on. Now we got power. Easy as that. But why did it blow, Alex, I hear you ask? So the answer is, some of these kind of universal ISOs, right? So you've got the Kia style plug here, and then obviously on the end of it we've got an ISO lead, which is these two plugs here, speaker and power. Now on some cars, some radios, especially like Mark 5 Golfs for example, has a fully populated quad lock to ISO, and by that I mean there'll be lots of wires that go to different things. Now in a Golf, the amp remote output goes through their plug and it actually terminates onto the car's quad lock on the locking wire, and if you put power to it, the central locking stops on a Golf. Silly little things that if they aren't needed, you don't really want to use them. So our earth, our ignition, permanent live and illumination are pretty much all the things we need. This car is basic, it's not going to have an amplified aerial. So my guess is that is going to something that the car doesn't like, and that's why it's blown. So for want of a better word, we will take this pin out, disconnect it from the loom, because whatever is in there is blowing fuses. So we'll get rid of it, because frankly it doesn't need to be there. Now if we plug this one back in around the right way, let's get our Pioneer stereo, plug that in there, turn the ignition on, oh look, now it works. So the time is 9:20 in the morning, so 9, 20. So we do a source, go to the main menu, we want to go to the system settings, we want to turn off the display or the demo. There we go, demo off, yes. Otherwise it will just keep rotating back to like a display of showing you stuff as it happens. It will start flicking across. So let's just go up to scan to radio 1. Right, so you'll notice now that the aerial was not searching. So that either means we have a bad antenna or the signal needs boosting. So we'll just turn that down. Let's put that out of the way for a second. And as I thought, there's mastic around the aerial. Good start. Right, okay. So we'll program heart in number 1. There we go. Right, now we need to fit in the microphone properly, which is going to go up in the center, up there. And for that, obviously my lead is now in the way, so we'll just turn that off, get that out. Little bit of glass cleaner, clean the window where the camera is going to go. For a cheapy camera, I really like these Kenwoods. I've got one in my Lexus. And the picture on it, fairly decent. You add your own SD card into it, doesn't come with one supplied. But it's got a little screen on it, it's fairly simple to use, not as expensive and as thorough as the ThinkWares that we've got on the other cars, but nevertheless it's still a good camera. So if you're interested, this is the Kenwood DRV330. Little box, warranty information in there. So that's our camera. Comes with a little cover on the front lens to stop scratching, so we'll just peel that off, otherwise everything will look like Smurfville in blue. Screen on the back, peel that away, and then as the screen turns on you get options down the side which correlate with these buttons on the side, and you can just select different options. But for a simple camera, I think it's pretty good. Pop that in there. We'll connect on our camera stay, which is like that, and then obviously you can set your desired angle of the dangle. That'll sit up there behind the rear view mirror because it won't be distracting then if you can't see it. But obviously if he wants to get to the screen issues or screen functions, he can turn his mirror and then he's got his camera ready to go. So we'll get our power cord in. Don't drop the camera, Alex. Right, so there's our camera. Now obviously one thing you need to make sure of when you're doing dash cams, find where the wiper swipe is. It's no good putting the camera up here so when it's raining you can't see past the blur of water. It's got to be in the field of view, but obviously not here because that's an MOT failure. So we'll go nice and neatly where that's going to sit there. We'll go nice and neatly behind it so it's got a good field of view. We're matching the level of the windscreen on this strip so the camera's not pissed. Stick it on, line it up, and he's good to go. There we go. Posh. Right. Then let's get this along. To take out this center light trim at the top here because we've got to get our microphone cable in it. So pop out the glass, and we've got two Phillips. I'm a stickler for how I do things. I have a set way. Microphones always go up here in the center. I watched some lad talking about a video the other day fitting a Pioneer into a customer's car, and it was a cabriolet, and he said you don't put the microphone at the top because you get wind noise. No, you don't. You put the microphone at the top because it's closer to the person's mouth, and as long as you fit the microphone properly, as in it's not up here where the gap in the roof is, if it's sheltered in this cup you won't get wind noise. It's just a lazy fitter. It just shows that you couldn't be asked really to fit the camera, fit the microphone properly. And we need, there's the little sticky pad for the mic. So he lost it. Yes. Right, we add on our own sticky pad because I can't find the customer's. He's unboxed it and it's not present. So a couple of things to note. When you put the microphone up here in the center, watch where you're putting the screws back in for the light unit. You don't want to mount the microphone up here and then screw through the cable, because that would just be stupid. I've seen it done many a time. You should always think about your installation kind of a few steps ahead when you're running cables. So screws are here. We're going to go bottom side of the unit. Just push that into position. Make sure I don't stab myself with my razor blade. Get the screw that fell. Pop up our pop up our light unit. Screw that back in. Obviously bear in mind, you don't want to crimp this down too much. You want the microphone cable to stay loose, otherwise you'll ruin it. So if you're going up in the center light, just make sure you've got a space where the microphone cable is not under too much duress. You don't want to squeeze the crap out of it. Stick your microphone on, nice and neat, no cables. And then this stuff is going to go down the A-pillar. Get rid of this rubber seal. Pop out our plastics. Pull out the A-pillar trim. The aerial cable. Right, now you'll notice that the plastic, so the rubber, goes behind the dash here, so we can't remove the rubber, which basically means because we've moved that panel, there's a hole here, so we're going to go straight down there, straight in, straight across to this. Usually you move the rubber out the way, go down, across, and then up into the radio. So, cables up inside the headliner. Be fairly gently with this, you don't need to tweak the crap out of it, otherwise you'll just crease the headliner and it'll look terrible. Get your cable nice and neat up there. Pull the microphone one across. And then we're going to secure the cables down the A-pillar. If you had an airbag, obviously don't go across in front of it, so the airbag has to blow through the wiring. Just common sense, but you'll be surprised the amount of idiots that do that. Depending on how strong the airbag is, it probably won't break the cable, but it will rip the cable out from where you've mounted it and whip it into the car at speed, and you have the potential of losing an eye or, you know, lacerations to your face, so just bear that in mind. So there's our cable taped up, fixed to the A-pillar trim, and this is what we've got left with, is power and then obviously our microphone. Remove our test lead now because we know where the power went. Open the glove box out because we're going to go down and across the back of the dash and then up into here. We have got an access panel on the side here, which I am going to pop open because it's going to show me a little bit more info as to where the cable is going to be coming through the dash. Let's move that aside. Right then, so do the mic first. Move that out of the way. Down the little hole, I can see him there. So I'm just gonna, for now, just sort of pull him out this little side hole, and then I can run, there we go, I can run a cable straight across into there. Another thing you need to be careful of as well, passenger airbags. They will deploy from this area here, so what you don't want internally is the cable across that either, because you could hurt somebody again. Not just about getting things installed in the cars, there is safety aspects as well. Stuff like this you need to be careful of. back in with our A-pillar trim. Back in with our rubber. I like to use these cable passes. They're just nylon rods like you'd use for kind of poking chimneys and things like that. But they're nice and simple. Just pass through behind the dash without causing an issue. Obviously common says don't use a metal coat hanger because you can't see where the thing is going, and the last thing you want to do is stab it into a live wire or something, or nick something. So we tape on our cable like so, and I've had a look down this hole here and I can see the radio nice and easy, and there's nothing that's going to get in the way, as in airbag wires or moving parts that are going to ruin something. So I can feel my cable there. We just pass our little lead, through he comes, pull our cable out, leave that to one side, put our end plate on, put our screws back in for the glove box because we didn't take that down in the end. Drop that one, pick that one back up, then undo our little extension. There's my razor blade. Right, plug in microphone into the back of the stereo. Undo that because it's all tangled up. Right, we've got some excess cable here. Just coil it, keep it nice and neat and wrapped up. No, nobody's going to see it, but it's better than cable swinging in the breeze. Just give that a little wrap up there. There we go. So there's our radio. We've just got to take the cage off and put it in the dash, and then our cigarette lighter. Again, tidy up the cables, takes 2 seconds to do, just makes the install look like you actually bothered rather than just stuffing them behind the dash like Christmas turkey.
Turkey!
Pop out our side tabs, remove the cage, put the side tabs back in, put your wires inside the dash, insert cage into dash, making sure nothing is trapped. Be careful with the radio. Fold out your side tabs. This secures the cage in its little bezel. You don't have to do all of them. Many of them won't actually reach, but the side ones on the top far left and right do. make sure your cables are tucked out the way. This is only a short chassis radio, so we're going to have lots of room anyway. So that goes in. Even though we've fixed the cigarette lighter, this thing has had coffee and all sorts of stuff dropped in it, and it's now not working properly. When the car is shaken, it disconnects and connects. So what we best do, pop up the center console, get to the cable underneath, pull it to one side because we know the connections work. For dash wire hard cams, you can use these things here. They're auto leads, Y leads. I think it's an AE53. But it's basically a figure 8 female cigarette lighter socket with all the power and everything covered, and then you can plumb this into a power source. And there we go. Ignition working, radio working, dash cam fitted, cables hidden. Cigarette lighter working. I love the way they pop out ready to burn a hole in the carpet. Fantastic. So that's it, first one done. Wait for him to come back. Crack on with the Lotus in a bit. How are we doing, everyone? Oh, it is 4:30. I'm just getting ready to go home after a crazy day. Let's get packed up here. So had a near miss this morning in the Chaser. Decided I couldn't wait to do the old tyres because they were pretty shot. So we changed. Didn't leave me the old tyres to do a burnout on them, but I had to get some new rubber. It was much needed. But also at the garage, now because this is used as an audio car, I do like my sounds. And one thing I did find is that the exhaust did drone a little bit. So while I was at the garage, I got them to put in an extra silencer. So we've got a little resonator that just takes the edge off of the drone, if you will. It's got quite a nice burble still to it. It still sounds like a Jay-Z, but just not as terrible and loud. So hopefully the neighbours will stop whining at me now for having a louder car. It's finished raining. A bit wet, a bit cloudy, a bit horrible today. But the sun has just come out for a smidge. But I've been cracking on with the Lotus as well. I stripped a bloody bolt, of all things, which has pissed me off no end, because it's a really weird size as well. But it's a nylock that goes on here, so 1/2 inch UNF. So I'll change that one as well while I'm at it. The threads on the bolt are okay, it's the nut that went. So I'll have to get those. So the drive shaft, the second one is done. I'm just starting to put in the down pipes or cross pipes for the exhaust. All of the stuff under here is now connected. I haven't started the gear change cables yet, that's next to do. But the turbo pipes are in. So gear change cables to do the bottom suspension, get the wheels back on it, put fluids in him, and that's it. Contacts, start him up, those things plugged in, and fluids, and we're good to go. So we're making really good headway. Really good headway. I'm dead excited. That's kind of like the beginning of getting it back on the road. I think I'm going to take the Chaser home tonight. I'm going to have to. Where's my keys? Where's my keys? What have I done with him? Huh. Turns out I'm not going anywhere. Where are my keys? Oh, what the French? Seriously? What a massive kumquat. See? That's better, isn't it? We can talk.
During parking mode. Motion detection recording. Over 10 and. Event detection recording. 1.
And it's
Occurred.
not like super droney. That's acceptable.
Continuous recording will now start.
I can live with that.
On your smartphone, connect to a Wi-Fi network whose name starts with thinkware. GPS connected.
Right, get the old phone plugged in. So we have a little bit quieter exhaust, not as droney. Makes driving the car a bit more of a pleasure because there's nothing worse. I love a sporty exhaust, don't get me wrong, but there's nothing worse than the thing giving you a headache when you're in it. That's just not the point. Much better. You can actually hear me talk now. Oh, I've got a buzz. See you tomorrow, peeps. Thanks for watching.